this club has had no shortage of conversations about the children of this city and the children of our country. But while these conversations are civil, they're thoughtful, they're enlightening, when they move from this stage to our schools, they become politicized, contentious, and I would argue, counterproductive. The level of contention sets us back tremendously. It makes the more than 350,000 children currently enrolled in CPS pawns in a political battle instead of making them the sole focus of our efforts. And it makes our children's future a political question when there are so many elements of what children need that should be above, beyond, and outside the realm of politics. Good neighborhood schools are irreplaceable institutions. The glue that stabilizes our communities and that secures our social compact. Take Walter H. Diet High School. In 2012, it was slated for closure. Before that, the school faced so many cuts that students took art and physical education classes online. Physical education classes online. And it had no money to create AP classes. The school's closure means that children who don't go to charters will need to be bused to other neighborhoods. And when the final trickle of 13 kids graduate from Diet this year, of course we'll celebrate them. But we mourn the fact that their neighborhood will be left without a single traditional public high school. And of course, Diet is far from alone. 50 other schools have been closed. Closure after closure after closure. Neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood. And a city with a lot of fiscal issues, closing down neighborhood schools is much more expensive than previously thought. It's led to overcrowding, it disorients students, and it disconnects parents. 17-year-old Parrish Brown, a 2013 graduate of Diet, said it best, and I quote him, "They closed my elementary school, and now they're phasing out my high school. One day, there'll be nothing in my community to come back to." Remember, the education of a child from kindergarten to 12th grade is 3 times as long as a Merrill run. So while in 1 week, one candidate will be able to claim victory, we all need to start the process of reclaiming the promise of public education. And this is not just a Chicago issue. It's not just an education issue. It's a conversation, though, that's actually happening all across the country. We must collaborate to compete for our cities, our schools, our economy, and our children to thrive. So how do we undertake that collaborative process of reclaiming the promise of public education? It starts with working with communities and investing in strategies that will help children succeed. High-quality early childhood education is one such strategy. It continues with working to create and maintain welcoming, safe, collaborative public schools with engaging curriculum that include art, music, civics, and sciences, taught by teachers who are well-prepared and well-supported and have time to collaborate. And on that score, for 18 years, CTU, with CPS, have been helping its teachers achieve the highest credential teachers can earn in the United States of America, certification by the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. Today, there are 2,200 nationally board-certified teachers in Chicago, including CTU's own president, Karen Lewis. This, my friends, is the largest program of its kind in any big city in the country. These are teachers who demonstrate that they are masters of their craft, who mentor, who support other teachers, and they're exemplars of our profession. But even they can't do it alone. And we're still faced with this mythology that the only thing that affects a student's performance is the effort and talent of a teacher. Look, I've said many times, I've said it in front of 3,000 of my own members in convention after convention. If someone can't teach after they've been prepared and supported, they shouldn't be in our profession. But when economists are now telling us that teachers, as important a role as they play, ultimately account for 10% of the variance in student achievement, then we need to focus on the other 90%. If you want to get excellence on more than an ad hoc, Herculean, or random basis, it requires wraparound services. It requires focusing on the other 90%, where students and their families have access to health care, child care, workforce development, recreational centers, and other emotional and social supports. Together, we can make that happen, and I mean all of us together. The North Kenwood, Oakland community on the south side of Chicago, once a community with a thriving middle class, home to icons like Ida B. Wells, Nat King Cole, Red Fox. When the manufacturing and factory jobs left, the social fabric started to tear. Today, 1 in 4 residents are unemployed. 1 in 5 adults in Oakland have no high school diploma. There's been an increase in crime and a loss of thousands of units of affordable housing. There's a lack of adequate health care and not enough support for after-school programs, with very few constructive places for young people to congregate. There's been, in short, a wholesale disinvestment from the community. And it's not the result of one mayor or one decision, but the aggregate effect is that it's minutes from downtown Chicago, but it's largely disconnected. This morning, we spent some time in North Kenwood, Oakland, with Juwanza Malone, the executive director of the Kenwood Oakland Community Organization, Jitu Brown, director of Journey for Justice, and Jesse Sharkey, CTU's vice president. COCO, as you know, is the oldest African-American community organization in the city of Chicago. It's their 50th year, and it's great to see Reverend Jackson here, one of their founders. So they are working small miracles every day. But what if neighborhood, community organizations, labor, and business can create some big miracles by seeding real and broad partnerships? What if we start supporting the COCO Grow Your Own Teachers program? What if we come up with new ways to preserve and construct affordable housing? What if we develop an ecosystem of support, including economic development and public safety? What if, instead of diet closing, it becomes a sustainable community center complete with a youth center? Imagine if our kids are more than test scores, what will happen and how we will soar. So that's why today, CTU, AFT, and COCO have made this initial commitment to start this kind of partnership. And we hope that many of you in this room will join us, and we will turn that into a robust, vibrant, and community-driven initiative. We often talk about the ladder of opportunity. I like that analogy because I think of the things that are essential to it: health and housing, dignity and rights, education and good jobs, all forming rungs on that ladder. But the more I think about it, the more I've come to see that ladder as one of the ladders you see on fire escapes here in Chicago, a retractable ladder. One that if someone climbs up, they have the affirmative obligation to hold it down for the next person, or it will retract and spring out of reach. My friends, after the votes are counted, after the ads disappear, work with us to reclaim the promise of public education. Work with us on this Kenwood-Oakland partnership. Let's turn the focus from closing schools to improving them. Let's turn the focus from abandoning our communities to revitalizing them. Let's collaborate to compete. Thank you very much.
If we have any questions, why should students be trapped in failing schools, discriminated against based upon their zip code?
You know, when I see a question like that, this is what I think about, that I'm a really bad teacher. Because after a question like that, I see that there is nothing that I just said that actually moved the person who asked the question. Because no one deserves a bad school. All schools should be great. And our job is to make sure that there are great public, neighborhood public schools. That's our job, where kids can walk to, where parents have that as their first choice. And so when I see something like that, it's a false choice. Our job should be creating the equity and the opportunities and the strategies to make sure that every public school for every kid is a school that parents want to send their kids to, educators want to work in, and most importantly, kids can soar. And so we have to actually get under the hood and find out what's going on and why. And I'm not saying that there's never a time for a school to close, or if a school is underutilized, you can't deal with it. But think about this. 50 schools in this city have closed. We were just at Price. Their scores have gone up 2 years in a row. The school was still closed. So you can't tell me that that's about academic achievement. There are houses right across the street that are filled with young people and kids. Those kids are now bused 3 miles away. If they miss the bus, how do they get to school? In Philadelphia last year, there was a charter operator that said, I will give you another $1 million, parents, if you pick us as the charter school operator. And the parents said no in a secret ballot vote. And they said no because they want public schools. They want public schools that work for all of our children.